Thank you for coming to the Historic District Review Board meeting. It is August 20th, 2019. It's 6 p.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Ed Eichmann.
Susan Item.
Diane Bianco.
Ed Wells.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Also present is our town planner, Zach Pons, and our HDRB alternate, Herb Tom, sitting in the audience. If everybody has looked at the agenda format and the minutes, can I have a motion on the consent agenda, please? Oh, skip right over the pledge. Sorry about that. Yeah, let's stand for a moment silence and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, justice for all.
Okay. If everyone's looked at the agenda format and the minutes, do you have any questions or can we have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the agenda format.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we have no unfinished business. Oh, public comments. Do we have any?
Did we approve the minutes?
Yes, I
approved the agenda format.
Agenda format and approval of minutes.
Yeah, but I already said agenda.
Yes, it did.
So I move we also approve the minutes.
I second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
All of the heat score tonight. Do we have any public comments, Madam Clerk?
No one has signed up, but I do have one that was submitted via email that they've asked me to read it to the record.
Okay, thanks.
This is from Mr. Gary Ulmer from Loudon Door and Windows in Anacog. He addressed it to Zach, but asked that it be read into the record. So Zach, thank you for taking my call today in reference to vinyl replacement windows at Cape Charles. As a door and window company, we need to know what's the guidelines for the town. In our discussion, I mentioned that 50% of the town has vinyl windows now, and it's going to be hard to say no to the rest of the town all of a sudden. Wooden windows are almost twice as expensive as vinyl, $800 to $1,000 each, so most people are not going to buy them. I have over 35 years in the door and window business in most areas in Virginia. I have worked comprised in some way, example, no GVGs or use SDLs. We offer a composite window which is approved in Washington, D.C. and Berlin, Maryland by the Historical Committee. I don't know if all committees are on the same page or not, but that window is $200 to $250, more expensive than vinyl. Here's a link for you to check out. And it says, thank you for your time.
Thank you. No unfinished business. We can move on to new business. 6A, application for certificate of appropriateness to construct a new single-family dwelling. It's a tax map parcel A3A1-1-A2A and A3A1-1-A3A on Strawberry Street. Is the applicant or representative present?
My name is William Manning. I'm here representing Michael Beck.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask the board, has everybody had a chance to review the application?
Yes.
Okay. We can proceed with a motion unless we have questions or concerns.
I have just a couple of questions, clarifications. The northeast porch on the house will be a screen porch.
Yes, sir.
Are you planning on installing the screen system on the inside or behind the porch posts and railings?
Which way would you prefer them to be installed?
Well, we have previously recommended the installation on the inside, if you will, of the posts and the railings, so that visually from the outside, those porch elements are still dominant as opposed to partly obscured by a screening system.
Okay.
And if that's acceptable, then
Yep.
that's
Not a
not
problem
fine
here.
for us. Any comment concerning that?
No, thank you for asking that question.
And you, of course, will have a screen door
Yes.
at the top of those steps.
Mhm. Yes.
All right, thank you, that's good. The soffit detail for the house that you indicated on your page 5,
Yes.
I didn't see an indication of what the actual fascia material itself would be. It indicated it's painted.
It shows a 1:6 fascia.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the actual material of the 1:6.
It would be wood.
It is wood.
Yes, everything
That's all I wanted
wood
to
material.
confirm. I assumed so, but I just didn't see the indication of wood, so
Right.
that's.
Yeah, that was one spot I missed. Susan told me to make sure that I put all those on there. Only one spot I missed.
I did want to thank you for the very thoroughly
Well,
detailed
I tried, because
application.
I figured that, you would know more than I.
Well, and I will say, we also appreciate the modifications that
Right.
you have implemented as a result of our,
Right.
previous
Right.
input. So,
Well, we're trying to achieve your goal as well as Mr. Vetter's goal.
Right.
I think that's where we all are.
We'll talk a little bit about it in other business, about the pre-application process, but I think both you and we found it very helpful to come to
Definitely, I
this
agree.
meeting
I
prepared
definitely agree
with
with
some of that
Yes.
pre-planning.
Another question, this has to do with the standing seam metal roof.
Mhm.
That's will be both on the front porch and the kitchen.
Yes.
The kitchen will have a hip
Yes.
detail.
Uh-huh.
So my question is, are you anticipating for that using a manufactured system that's pre-finished for the standing seam?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Be what they call quick snap type system.
Yes, okay.
Mhm.
Well, those systems typically include if it's a ridge condition, which you don't have, but if it's also a hip condition, they typically include a cap
Mhm.
detail, which does vary a bit visually from the traditional standing seam, metal roof. I'll ask the other board members, that's a bit of a detail, but it does vary somewhat from the traditional standing seam metal roof.
Would the cap then be a hip
Well, the hip,
profile as well, right?
no, the hip
And then-
itself, but the cap for those systems tend to project a little bit above the
Right.
hip surface, whereas, as I'm sure you know, the traditional put together piece by piece standing seam metal roofs were assembled without, that kind of detail.
This is a new house, new construction. I don't have a problem.
Well, I would say I really don't either. I just wanted us to sort of,
I don't really either, and I love seeing the use of the standing seam and the snap system. That's very practical for our climate.
well, and the factory finish is also very
Oh,
practical.
yeah, and much more durable than, stuff you have.
Well, sounds like we're fine as far as that question is concerned, so you can ignore that one. My last one has to do with for the windows.
Mhm.
The Marvin information shows a number of muntin widths that are available. Have you selected?
I think I had it selected on that particular
Well,
paper that I sent you, the
I,
diagram.
again, it's possible I missed that, but when I looked at the page, there's this Marvin page,
Yes,
I didn't see an indication of which
I was going with the wire detail. This, if you want to go ahead and lay it down, I can show you. I was going to go with this wider detail here, so that it would be more pronounced.
The 1 and 1/8.
Yes. I think that's the wider detail of all that they have, and that'll give you more of a detail towards
the mullions, because I think that pretty much resembles what the older windows have in them as well, somewhere around that, the standard size.
Well, I think the general sizes of the windows themselves that you have in the house can accommodate a lot of
Yeah.
detail
Yeah.
also. And you want to have a comment or question related to that selection?
No, I'm just looking under your spec sheet for the ultimate wood double hung tilt packs. It's a style width, 2 1/4. That's something different, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the rails and styles.
Yeah.
I don't believe that indicates the mountain. That's why I
Did.
wasn't sure. So we'll confirm your plans and
It's an 8, yes, sir.
those are my questions.
Right, I noticed that you circled the color on another
Yeah.
window option, so maybe you just circle that option in the plan.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be great. That way it's, everybody knows where you're going.
I had a question about the front porch. It says decking, pressure treated decking. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
We did talk about 5/4 inch porch floors, typically in the front elevation, those would be tongue and groove. In this case, are you looking at a decking lay where the boards are run
I can-
parallel to the threshold of the front door? Or
Yeah, it would be running the other way, so it would be
perpendicular to the
visible
front door?
from the front.
And is it a traditional decking, wide decking board with spaces in between them, or is it tongue and groove?
It would be a wide decking board with a small gap between. If
It
you
was
want me
really-
to use the original type flooring, the tongue and groove, if you prefer me to use that, then we can go with that route as well.
I was looking at page 54. A couple of items, because one of them said, new wood surfaces would be painted rather than left with a natural finish. And I didn't see a specification for painting that. I think it said-
Basically, what I was going to try to do is use the stain. I don't like using the paint because paint doesn't stick very well to the softer
Right.
material, so I use what they call a deck stain.
Like an opaque color
Yeah,
stain,
which
not
will
natural
absorb
finish.
into the deck much better and protect it much better.
Agreed. What color?
What color would you prefer? I mean, he's using a black and a white finish on everywhere, and then a light gray. I would say a light gray. That way it would match the roof on the front porch itself.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be
Yeah.
also a more practical color.
Yeah.
Black is going to show dirt.
Right. Plus, it's going to be
White.
extremely hot. Yeah.
Yes, and hot.
Yeah, extremely hot
So
too.
that would be the same then for the steps?
Yep, same way all the way down the steps as well. And then the toe kicks would be a white finish on those. So.
That's it, that they're not risers. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit, what does this board feel about the decking material on the front porch? The lay is consistent with the historic lay, being perpendicular to the door, but it being a deck as opposed to a tongue and groove floor is a bit of a departure from other historic homes in the neighborhood.
It's not really spelled out that way though in the guidelines,
Right.
so. I guess-
Except to say to be characteristic of the historic house.
But characters doesn't say exactly like.
Right. And the height of the foundation,
We're going with 5 blocks.
right,
4 feet.
4 feet, so I'm not seeing that as you scroll down the sidewalk, that becomes a prominent architectural feature. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it. And that was one of the modifications you implemented, so we appreciate it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we do appreciate that. Do you have any questions?
I have none.
Do you?
I'm good.
Can I ask for a motion at this time?
Let's see, I'll move that we with the condition that the screening system on the northeast porch will be located behind the posts and the railings.
Can I include that one way?
The monkeys.
Yeah, just
Yeah, yeah.
might as well.
And that the window mounted detail in the windows will be the 1 1/8 inch size.
And the porch decking and stairs.
Porch decking and stairs will be as proposed, I forgot now.
Gray opaque stain.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. There is a motion on the table to approve the COA for lots 82 and 83 at Strawberry Street. Conditional upon the screening on the northeast porch being installed behind the post and the rail, that the muntins are further defined as being the 1 1/8 width, and the market windows and the porch decking and stairs are gray opaque stain.
Is that constructed to everybody's satisfaction? Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, 6B. Application for certificate of appropriateness to construct a one-story accessory structure at 428 Plum Street. I'd like to just mention that that's actually on the corner, isn't it?
Yes,
Plum
ma'am.
Street and Madison.
Madison.
And I'm Ron Harlow, the representing Mr. Mayor.
If Mr. Mayor wants to speak, he should continue at the microphone at this time. Okay. Okay, has the board reviewed the application and
Yes.
perused the property? So at this point, I'll ask if anybody has questions or motion,
Well, again, if I may, I'll
please.
ask a couple of questions. I'm looking at the existing plan diagram, and it appears that the existing garage on the east and the south side is actually at the lot line. Is that,
It's about a foot and a half off the line.
oh, so it is a little bit off?
Yeah.
All right, well, then as I look at the proposed plan diagram, I see the indication of a 2-foot setback on the south side for the new garage. And I see the notation of a 5-foot setback, but then I also see what looks like another indication of a 2-foot setback on the east side on the diagram. And so I'm interested in confirming which east side setback you're.
Let me take a look.
Okay, so when you talk about the east side,
I think
talking
I don't
about
have
Plum
it,
Street.
because I gave him the diagram, if I can see your diagram.
Yeah, sure.
sure.
No, Thomas on this side.
Plum's west.
Yeah, it looks like that's like 2 feet.
Oh, Plum Street
This should be
west.
5 feet here, sir. This is an alleyway access here also, and this is the curb, and this is the 2-foot setback off the property.
That's fine, I just wanted to clarify.
That's probably just my mistake.
That's fine, no problem. I assume, Zach, those setbacks are in
They're-
compliance with
yeah,
the
they're-
zoning? Okay.
Is that alley a public
No,
alley?
not mine.
Zach?
It is. So, it wouldn't be an allocation. There's an alley that goes from Plum to Nectarine, but that's not this.
that you submitted. The siding exposure of 7¼ inches, is
Correct.
that similar to the existing house siding?
It's got the asbestos siding, basically.
The house does?
Yeah, it's a little wider, actually.
It is actually wide. I'm just curious as to what the basis for the 7¼ inch exposure.
Well, because it matches some of the other James Harding's on houses in the neighborhood.
What's the exposure of the siding on the house now?
I don't know the exact exposure. I'd have to never measure it. I'm thinking it's probably somewhere between 8 and 10 inches.
Isn't there a fence between the shed and the backyard?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that fence going to stay there?
Yeah, basically that side of the building is going to move 2 feet off the fence. Because that fence is basically right on the property.
You have no windows on this building.
Correct.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I talked with Jeb about it, and it's not necessary to have windows for egress unless it's going to be a living space.
May not, no, probably not for egress, but
Let's just go to page 23 here for a second.
so it talks about new buildings incorporating architectural elements to divide the facade into intervals, which would make it consistent with other buildings in the neighborhood. And page 22 says to pay attention to the placement of windows so that they're compatible to the surrounding structures.
What would your recommendation be for a window? What would you like to have a window for?
Well, the west elevation, there's no windows and that faces the neighbor. Is that right?
No, the west
The
elevation.
rest is the
The
house street.
west is the porch that faces the back of the house.
Yes, correct.
And that's where. the-
East elevation would be the back of the building facing the lot.
Right.
Facing the lot.
It was, yeah, this, I'll call it the side of the garage on the east,
Right.
and then the back of the garage would be the south.
Right. So as you travel down Madison, you can see the elevation, not the garage door elevation, of course, that's on Plymouth Street. I mean, that's the garage door is facing Madison.
Yes.
Okay, so the elevation that is facing the back of your house, that's where your lean-to,
The lean-to comes forward. yes.
right, and that's where your door is.
Correct.
Next to that would be, it would seem an appropriate place for the window. That's an elevation that can be seen when you're scrolling down the sidewalk.
Okay.
Is that a porch or a golf cart?
It's like a,
It's just a little lean-to shed, just a place to get under if you're barbecuing or something like that. you
So
know.
it's not actually a porch?
Shed roof is what I call it.
and it's got the foundation under
Yes,
it.
the foundation, the concrete slab goes all the way out.
So it almost looks like an entrance to the outbuilding, because it's got the shed roof and it's got the door.
Yeah, there will be an entrance there.
Right, so that elevation seems to be missing
For the window, you mean?
a window,
Okay, we
that
can
west elevation.
definitely, put a window in there.
Yeah, a window could be centered between, I'll call it the second base or the back, just like the door is centered on.
Between the 6x6 posts.
That's not a problem. Not a problem at all.
Would need to be either a fixed or a double hung,
Most likely in the double home.
simulated divided light.
Not a problem.
The east elevation of the garage is potentially also visible from the street.
It is, and I think that's why I was asking about the alley.
But it's really, that's really
essential, and when I looked at the upper loft area inside the garage, I could see that having privacy from that elevation and room to store things inside would make sense.
Security was the biggest concern.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see a specification on the garage door.
There's some printed information, but I will say for that, I don't see a drawing or a picture that shows us what the indication of the door, what it would look like.
That's the door. Picture didn't get out very clearly.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's your
Well,
door itself.
okay, but the description says that it has a short raised panel and the Waterford window details. So the shallow windows at the top is the Waterford window.
Correct.
Yes.
And it's a raised panel, just like a normal garage door.
But in what pattern? I don't want a short raised panel. Indication
That may give you a little more information there, I'm not sure. It's basically a standard, raised panel, white panel.
6 panel.
Yeah.
the door is 16 feet wide.
Correct.
And I faintly see what looked like a square coming in.
Yeah, it's got like a little detail.
Is that, it looks like, are the 3 panels high below the glass?
Well, this is a rolling door, right? So
Right.
this is hinged.
Yes,
These are hinged.
right.
2 foot panels, and they got like little squares in them.
Okay, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8.
Well, they're an equal distance all the way across.
Yeah, okay, so you're 8 across 3 high as a raised panel.
Correct.
Detail below the glass.
I saw that it was steel. What color is it?
It's gonna be white.
And did you say white for the lean-to?
White, the post for the lean-to.
For the metal roof?
The metal roof is gonna be, it's like a cream color, it's an off-white.
Now that's different from your house, right? Which is gray?
We can accommodate that, that's a problem. We were just thinking about heat, heat situations for vehicles and stuff, put in there.
Again, I think this board likes the metal roof.
Yeah, and it's also the snap on.
Yeah.
We're going to with consistency in siding. I want to return to the siding discussion for a minute, though. One of the things we're trying not to do is give a false appearance on materials. So the wood grain effect is sort of one of the recommendations of not to do.
Do you want a smooth finish?
Which looks more like a traditional
Flat.
painting.
Right. And that's gonna be painted to match the existing house also.
All right.
And I don't know about you guys, but I have no objection to this exposure because it is consistent with that house. Do you? The only thing is
Ed,
the,
are you okay with that exposure?
No, I'm fine with
Yeah.
I just feel like the front, the north elevation, that's really what people are going to see.
Yeah, the garage door in
From
front.
Madison.
from
Yeah.
that.
So it'd be great if there was even a little bit more detail. Even if it was lights on each side of the garage door or some kind of something. Roof there.
Is there lighting proposed, exterior lighting?
No. Not this time. I think we plan on doing a whole lot of exterior lighting.
Well, something, Diane, that
But we can, if you'd like us to put some carriage lights out in front or something like that, we can accommodate that.
are you looking at something like this north elevation drawing?
I mean, that is the front.
That
On the
is,
street.
it is. Well, let me just mention a couple of things. This drawing doesn't seem to really fully represent the way it details. For instance, what's labeled as the soffit overhang on the east side, as well as the shed roof over the the covered area on the west side, we'll end up needing a detail that we would typically call a cornice,
Correct.
where you have a vertical fascia, a soffit, etc. You know, the drawing, of course, is not really showing any sort of cornice detail per se, but that's just going to just be a necessary part of basic construction.
Correct. And that's going to be white vinyl soffit, and the fascia front is going to be AZAC.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with this, I just don't feel it's very complete as an application. I'd like to see a little bit more on that north elevation, just because that is facing the street, and Madison is having a nice little renaissance right now, so.
Well, in addition to a cornice detail on the north elevation, I assume you will also have some sort of rake trim on the north wall of the garage.
All AZAC. All the trim on the garage, just corner trim,
Yeah.
rake trim, and fascia trim is all AZAC.
I guess our,
Is that going to be painted? And this is what you proposed, right?
Correct.
To be your trim.
That's it.
So that's that matte finish. And when you say white vinyl soffit, are you talking about using a dimensional lumber product to create the soffit, or are you talking about like a sheet vinyl?
You get the white vinyl sheets, and your J channel, you go down, that will come down as a 1x6, and you'll get a piece of J channel there, and then your socket fits inside of that J channel. Which is pretty much standard on all now.
We're trying to go with more
That-
traditional.
yeah.
beading.
What's standard is what we're trying to do with this board, is to have some standards and to maintain them. So we're not really using what might have been done in the past as our guide for what we decide here.
However, I don't think it's current guidelines again.
Right. Although the guidelines do say no lighting.
True, but it's underneath the soffit on the shed roof that's not really visible. And
No, it
that's,
isn't really
you know, it is a garage.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and I would say in this, on a case-by-case basis, it doesn't really make a big difference to the character of the neighborhood.
Well, if there's an issue with vinyl, what would you recommend? What would you like to see?
Well, like we're
A
member
beadboard, panel tonguing roof. That's more traditional on the porch.
It's not a big area, it's a very small area.
But, you know, I'm trying to appease you with the vinyl, so.
You know,
We're,
I want to keep with the historical values of things too. I mean, we're not here to,
Fine.
you know, if you want us to put up a beadboard versus vinyl, you don't have any objections to it. I don't definitely have any objections to
And
it.
the
It's
other-
not that much differential in cost and whatnot. The only thing I gotta look at is the maintenance cost and stuff, because you're basically talking about a wood product versus a vinyl product.
we're looking for a dimensional building product. So if it is a composite product,
Well, they do make a vinyl product that looks like beadboard. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
I would.
Okay, I'll definitely do that.
Should we painted then, I assume? Is that
It's a
right?
white vinyl soffit.
It's already white.
It's already white and it looks just like beadboard. They do make a product like that. And we use that product, with beading performance with the wood product that you're talking about, but it's still vinyl, maintenance free. It's still going to be the look of beadboard.
And so that would be the soffit on the cornice details that we talked about a moment ago.
Correct.
Also on the ceiling of what you call the porch.
It's going to be just open.
No, I'm talking about the ceiling below the roof.
I think he's saying he's having exposed framing.
Yes, correct.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It'll be just rafters coming down on the beams, and then the metal roof comes down.
So the underside of the sheathing for the roof that will be exposed between the rafters.
Yes.
The OSB.
Yes, if you go up there, it's going to be OSD underneath of that. But you won't be able to see it from the street or anything. The only way you'll be able to see that is if you walk under it and look up. Some are the southern
Only a
porches.
312 pitch, you're really not going to see.
Well, some of the porches you have too that have exposed wrappers on the porches, they just paint them white. You know, and you see the trim boards they actually have, the one by the they use in the old style, but we're going to use plywood.
Don't want to have any exposed unfinished wood.
Is the painting be okay?
Just a stain would be fine if you want maintenance free.
Yeah, solid stain is probably more practical, long-term solution, so.
How about a paint stain? That work? Like a bare paint stain? Because we're going to paint the post white, so we paint the underneath that all white with the wrappers painted all white.
That'll be fine.
Anything else?
Well, you see, similar to the garage door, you'll see an image that showed the 6-panel raised pattern for the entry door. But I'm assuming that's standard.
Correct.
Two vertical panels.
Yes, sir.
Two vertical above the square.
Correct.
And they are raised, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. And that will be painted
White.
white as well.
I don't think there's a driveway yet. Is it grass or?
Yeah, just kind of grass there.
What's
I
the
think
plan
there is
for
a
that?
little bit of shell in there.
Curves up there, there was some crushed stone there, but eventually we will be going that way, hopefully.
Would the driveway go across just the garage part and not the porch part?
Well, the driveway comes right up to the entrance door on that north side. And there's the existing fence that's there also. It'll act as a separation between the backyard and that.
The curb cut is parallel to the width of the garage.
Correct.
The width of that elevation.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so your driveway is probably the same width as a curb cut.
Correct.
So at this point, I have 6 modifications to this application that I've written down, and I'll read them out loud, make sure I haven't missed any.
I want one last question. When you say 38 feet from the curb entrance, is that the curb in the street?
The edge of the curb in the street.
So
yes.
that's not the right of
No, that's going from where your drainage line is on the curb, pulling it tape from there back.
So these are the things that I noted. Please correct me if I've missed anything, because we've talked about a lot of things. The garage door detail needs to be included with the application.
Actually, I think I have that also.
We're adding a window to
It should be in the back.
the west elevation,
It didn't show.
centered between the second bay, between the 6x6 posts. The metal roof is being changed to gray.
That's the location, facing location.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
The cement fiberboard siding will be smooth, not wood grained. The cornice detail would be a dimensional polyvinyl composite trim in white finish. The cornice under the ceiling would be the vinyl D-board white finish, and the shed under roof would be solid stained white with no exposed wood or OSB. Am I missing anything?
What is exposed, is that in the main garage area or under the shed?
Under the shed.
Because he's having exposed framing and
I thought we
exposed.
were talking about putting beadboard under there.
No.
I think that was for the soffit.
Your soffits are getting
The cornice.
Do you think that should be consistent?
Well, that's what I thought I was talking about. I thought you were putting vinyl there to begin with. To me, that's just almost like an extended soffit. I mean, I know it's on the side of it.
It's a small area.
Well, it's 8 by.
It's not that small.
The question is, will you see the underside of that shed when you're driving or walking along the sidewalk? That's the question.
I don't think you will, because if you notice, I have some photos of the existing structure.
Well, by the way, replacing that existing structure is a dramatic improvement.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate that enhancement to the district.
Yes, indeed.
You won't be able to see it, the shrubs there are about 20.
You've got, yeah, you got, well, there's not really showing in this picture, but this fence goes along, there's shrubbery here, and the porch room is up in this area. It's going to basically extend 8 feet off of this area here, so I don't think you're going to be able to see it from the street.
This drawing is not terribly clear, but would there be a trim piece underneath that? What looks like the other side of that?
No, that's all going to be exposed.
So that if that was trimmed, it was painted white to go with the posts and couldn't really see under it for that reason?
Well, yeah, we talked about,
Are you having a fascia board at the end of your framing?
The only thing that's going to come down on that side would be a piece of 1x6 exactly come down and wrap around the front of that. Everything else is exposed.
So you won't see the exposed
Won't be-
end of the frame boards?
Correct. That all gets wrapped.
But that, what my point being, that keeps it more likely that you would not ever see it.
that's true.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know, I just get the feeling that it was unfinished to me. I mean, bees go up there, they make nests, wasps, all kinds of critters.
Well, that's his problem.
I know.
Yeah, we're supposed to focus on the visual
Okay, if
aspect.
you're satisfied, you can't see it, it's not our purview, then, I'm fine with it.
How do you all feel about a little more decorative detail on the north elevation? I mean, if I was going to put a window in, I'd put a window on this side instead of the porch side. But lights or something.
There's no room.
There's no room here? There's no room. Only there's room for lights.
That's,
The,
yeah, they could give window.
yeah.
You only got like 12 inches, you're talking about a 16-foot door with 20-foot wide.
Oh, you mean in the gable? That wouldn't be,
That up there, Dave.
yeah, that wouldn't be consistent with, well, I mean, a square window would be consistent. But I think we have to look at the functionality too. It's for storage,
Well,
right?
and I think, with the actual cornice condition, visual condition of the cornice that we discussed, which the drawing doesn't really reflect, combined with what's called the rake board trim that continues up the slope roof, and the horizontal left side pattern with the paneled garage door with the windows at the top, for an accessory building, it seems to me like that's a reasonable amount of detail.
Okay.
I feel looking at the scale of the door for the building, which is, it's pretty large, that any other architectural elements in there is going to disrupt the plane. Okay. So we said we were going to add trim to the frame ends on the shed roof. So we have 7 changes.
Let me go over this, Jamie, so I'm clear too, for all of you.
Right.
We're going to charcoal for the roof. We're going to V-board for the soffit. We're putting in the window on the north elevation. We're still painting all the rafters.
No.
It's
West
West elevation, west elevation, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
We're painting the door white. And
The garage door and
the garage door comes white, the other door, it's going to have a primer finish on it where it actually painted white.
okay.
No problem. Is there anything else I missed?
The shed under roof, you were going to do the solid stain,
Painting, so
and you're going to add trim to the frame tips on the shed roof.
Yeah, that was already in the plan. Any, it
We
was
just
supposed,
couldn't see it in this.
I apologize for that.
So,
Yeah, that's not a problem.
right, so with so many things, I think that our standard is to defer it till next month to get the complete plans that reflect these set of items.
For the town records, we really do need to try to have material support the discussion that we've had here today.
Well, the roof was originally white. You folks wanted to match the house, which I don't have a problem with that. The soffit is shown, you know, with 12-inch overhang white vinyl soffit all the way around. It shows that we're going to put AZAC on all the trim. You're concerned about the porch roof. It does show the trim that the AZAC's going to be trimmed out of all that.
Is there a concern that you will lose time getting started?
Most definitely.
I'll say this too, if you approve it with conditions, you list the conditions out, I feel confident that I can approve whatever plans he comes up with, to what you guys are wanting to do.
Will you be asking him to give you the changes in writing
Yeah,
and
he's gonna-
suggestion on those?
This is just for this board, he submits,
Building plan.
yeah, he submits building plans that are going to
Final
show
plans to issue the
elevations.
permit while reflecting.
On this discussion.
Right? Right.
Yeah, those will show all the construction related details that we've talked about.
So do we have a motion?
I can't remember all those.
I know! That's what I was gonna say.
I can get probably halfway through.
I don't have my glasses. Can't see any of
This
this.
is the list of things we discussed.
And in retrospect, most of those are minor things.
Yeah, they are. The only structural change is the window.
Yeah. Right. So I move we approve a certificate of appropriateness for the, just a second.
428 Plum,
For the 428 Plum
accessory dwelling.
Street accessory building with the following conditions. The garage door is white in color with the manufacturer's short raised panel and waterproof window details. Condition 2, we will add a window to the west elevation, centered between the covered area posts. The window will be either double hung
Or fixed,
or fixed.
simulated divider light.
Yes, with simulated divided light SDL detail. The condition 3, metal roofing color in gray. Condition 4, the siding material proposed will be the smooth cement fiberboard with a painted finish. Condition 5, the construction will include a cornice detail with white vinyl, with vinyl beadboard painted white, an AZAC trim. That would be the fascia.
In the corners, and they trim be on the corners, fascia and razor.
Yes, and the corners, sorry, this is getting a little disjointed. Condition 6, the underside of the shed roof on the west side will receive a solid paint stain finish to the exposed rafters and sheathing.
agenda.
All right, it'll be a AZAC fascia trim.
They should have raked up that one.
On-
Which is already, yeah, that was already in the plan.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, did you get that? Oh, and I just want to ask our planner, are you okay with that many conditions on this application? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, appreciate
Look,
it.
it's gonna be lovely.
I guess I'll see you Monday, Zach. Thank you, folks, take care.
We thank you too.
Introductory question, we're just gonna print that off and come in bids, and then check it off as we go, so.
Okay.
I really, it's really the color creating all of that. rather than-
Things get
So
that up.
it's really a question of whether or not
I was told
the
to do it.
motion's
I'm
clear,
That's my job.
as opposed to me administrating, I don't know.
People trying to build sheds and get crazy, I don't know. Good.
Okay, going on to 7, other business. Zach and I have talked about this a little bit already. I just wanted to get everybody's input on this. So I printed this out. I wanted to talk about what came up at the Planning Commission the other night. Councilman Grossman proposing text changes to Article 820. He had 2 motions before the Planning Commission. The first was to propose a change to Article 8.7, which was to expand the HDRB to 7 members, one of whom must be a town council member. To his credit, he later retracted the recommendation after there had been, we had a meeting with DHR and they strongly recommended against that, 2 different constituencies. So he indicated such to the Planning Commission and they accepted his revised recommendation and followed suit by denying the motion. But section 8.2, he's asking to make text changes so that the town council would have the ultimate final say on changes to the historic guidelines, not the HDRB as it's currently written. His recommendation is that we would follow the same procedure, say, that the Planning Commission would follow, where it would go to Planning Commission, it would have a public hearing, and then it would go to Town Council, it would have a public hearing before any of our text changes could be amended.
It would go to planning commission?
That's what he had said at Planning Commission. We would have to say it publicly at a HDRB meeting, then we'll go to planning, and then we'll go to Town Council. Is that not what he said? Okay. Can you clarify?
Yes, so I just read the email you had sent her. I just want to clarify this. What Aubrey is thinking you're saying is not what you're saying.
No, I didn't say anything to Aubrey. I forwarded her the article that came
Yeah,
out in the
yeah.
Cape Charles Mirror,
The way she interpreted
which
that
was very concerning because it is with the public
So
rates.
this is the process currently. You guys as a board are, as it says in this portion right here, Article 8, page 7, right there.
A, B, C,
A,
right?
B, and C. The Historic District Review Board, well, this is what it's currently.
This is from the one that you have currently published.
Yeah, okay. So you guys, the board, it's your duty to prepare, adopt, and amend the design guidelines, nothing related to the ordinance,
The
the design guidelines for building structures, blah, blah, for everything, just the design guidelines. And then C, the Historic District Review Board adopts and amends the guidelines after conducting a public hearing.
Right.
So that
Pursuant to the
means-
Virginia Code.
Yes, so that means that it's publicly, an ad is posted in the newspaper, and then you guys have a public hearing, and then you say, you know what, we like having vinyl in the historic district area, we approve, or we make a motion to approve the amended text that we've come up with.
Right.
And then it goes into effect the next day or whatever, however that process works. What's being proposed is the duty, B, so A, I believe, is just getting scratched because it doesn't make any sense. B, shall be the duty of the Historic District Review Board to prepare and amend these guidelines.
So they're taking out the part of the
Adopt.
process where we can adopt.
Adopting being, and then the next, in C, it says the Historic District Review Board, or that would be changed to town council adopts the set of design guidelines.
C would be, C would say the town council.
The town council actually adopts it. So you guys, in that situation, just pertaining to guideline amendments, you would be, just like you're doing, you would be figuring out what do we want these guidelines to say. You then amend that, have a public hearing in this board, you know, as a board here, so it would just be like right before this meeting, they would have a board, they would have a public hearing section where anyone can come and speak from the public, it was advertised, you would close that public hearing session, and then you guys, as the board, would make a recommendation to town council to adopt what you've amended, or amend it accordingly to if you realize that a contractor says, hey, this is this, you know, and you guys. So, and then at that point, it would then go to town council, and they would have a public hearing right before their session, and then they would end up saying, yeah, we agree with you guys, we're gonna adopt it, and then it would go into effect.
Or they'll say no.
Or they'll say no.
In which case, all the hours that this board put in, researching, having work sessions, conferring an agreement, and agreeing goes out the window.
So that's
Not to mention that, I mean, this is my objection to the change. Not to mention that the DHR said this is really supposed to be a flexible, living, moving document. So, for instance, as we discussed tonight, we're seeing the need to make some changes in the guidelines. We can't actually affect that change under that proposition for months, and then again, only if the town council approves.
In the meantime, we go through appeal after appeal after appeal.
Because it could take months to get these changes through.
Yeah, the appeals happen very quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
they go through it quickly.
So this board has been really working diligently preparing research to make evidence-based changes and to encumber them to then have to go defend it again to the town council shows a lack of trust on the part of our town council for the work that we do.
And to date, we don't feel confident that they're listening to us. So even if we did do all this preparation and present it to them, they could just say no without knowing anything more,
Right.
without even having really listened to what we said. So this is difficult.
The problem now is that Councilman Grossman has gotten through planning and it's now set for the September 5th town council meeting. I would like us to have a stay, at least a stay on that decision, a deferral on that decision until we can meet in a
I
work
can tell you
session.
right now, it's not going on the September 5th council meeting.
Oh, it's
It's
not?
the regular meeting. that
It's
it-
not going on September 5th.
No.
Oh, when is it scheduled to go on?
I don't know, I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay. Any information?
But I can tell you right now, it's not going to be
I
the
thought you
5th.
said it was September 5th.
It'll
No?
be the next regular meeting. Or the September 5th is not a regular meeting, right?
That's a special meeting.
Exactly. It's the
Oh.
next regular
That's an
meeting.
appeal
It's going to
meeting.
be
Yeah.
Oh, so when I said we
2
would
weeks after that?
discuss it in our September 6th work session, if we choose that date, you thought we wouldn't have enough time.
No, I might have misread your email, but I'm just, so as it currently is, you as a board can recommend that it's going to town council. It's already passed planning commission, this is the process, this is the legislative process. It's gone, it's been pushed down from town council through Paul Grossman, went through planning commission, recommended as approval. Now it's going to town council, that next regular meeting. And it will be advertised in the paper.
And we don't know the
And
date
there will
of
be
the
a
next
public-
regular meeting.
I'm sure you know the date of the next regular meeting.
The 19th, I believe, 18th or 19th, whatever the third Thursday is.
Yeah, the third Thursday.
Third Thursday in
So at that meeting, it's gonna be on there, I understand y'all's concerns, and y'all can voice your concerns during that public hearing portion, that's the whole purpose behind that. It should have been maybe better communicated throughout this process, I understand what you're saying there, but it wasn't up to this point, and so now it's already like going through that process.
Right.
So now your next move as a board, if you wanted to have a meeting with Aubrey first, would be to appeal to town council during this public comments portion or whatever, or you can speak at the public hearing or the special meeting or whatever. You can voice your concerns in a variety of ways, but they're gonna have to make that decision at that town council meeting of, yes, you know what, maybe we should table this and, you know.
Typically, for something as big as this, the town council will not vote the same way.
Oh, you're right, it was gonna be an informational,
Yeah.
we already talked about it.
Yeah.
It'll be
If it was
informational.
something like this, I recommend not going
Yes.
straight to the public hearing, letting them have a
Should
time
we,
to
do you
review it.
recommend that we send something in writing?
I would say whatever the staff report. And
Should we
then,
send it to Zach and let Zach
Yeah.
forward something?
Yeah, I'll say
Is
that.
that the right procedure?
I understand y'all's concerns, but for me, I would recommend that this would go forward. That's my personal
That what? I'm
professional
sorry,
opinion.
that what?
That this would be adopted in the ordinance. So that's my personal recommendation, because I think that's the process that it should go through. I think that DHR, when we had that discussion, she even mentioned that typically these are adopted by town council. I don't know if she meant that they aren't amended and adopted or whatever, but
Well, I think we're at odds with town council because they will return 5 of our applications.
so the situation with
We're on a different page completely.
yeah, exactly, and y'all need to get on the same page, and so.
How we get there, I mean, they want us
Yeah.
to, you know, we have to get together with them.
Yeah, I agree.
Now,
It's a
one of the
collaboration.
things we said was, if they adopted this, my understanding was they were gonna adopt this, but not amend this, that we would do the amending, but they would adopt it as the town guidelines that were part of.
Well, that's what happened previously. They adopted these.
Oh, the
when it
amendments.
Initially, no, not the amendments. They adopted it initially when this first document came.
Yeah.
It was adopted by town council, and then any other amendment or update has just been approved by historic, not adopted by town council.
So it's the amendments that are the problem.
The amendments are going to go, or were proposed to go through town council also. So that this document,
Is
every time it's updated, it's been viewed by town council and approved by town council.
The concern I have is we have, like she said, 2 constituencies. This is an appointed board, and our goal is to answer to these guidelines based on the Secretary of the Interior standards, and to answer in fulfillment to our DHR CLG, Certified Local Government status. That's our mandate. No matter what we think personally. The town council's constituency is an electoral constituency. So it is in the interests of the town council to make a decision favorable
It is.
to the applicant because they have a vote as to their board, as to their town council
They have an
status.
agenda.
We have a completely different set of priorities. So I'm opposed to this.
At this time, let's say at this time.
Well, these are my concerns.
Right, I agree with you.
I feel
It's
like we need
like
time to
a few
flush it
months
out.
down the road, when we've come up with some changes and they say, yeah, that looks good, and gosh, I think you're on the right path, then we would feel better about that. But right now, I feel they're just gonna shoot down everything. I mean,
Well, I'm not sure about that. I mean, there's some things where we're talking about trying to get done quickly. Like, how can we address new construction infill in a way that respects the mandate we have to the guidelines and the Secretary of State Interior and the Department of Historic Resources and the people in our town who have to build and live and work. So we're trying to do that, we're trying to do that quickly. We could, if we decided to, put forth amendments, text amendments, at our next meeting.
You did. You definitely did. And at this
But
point-
if that passes, we won't have a chance to get that through quickly, to start making decisions that are favorable to everybody in our community. We'll have to keep ruling with the unfavorable guidelines because the process will be so cumbersome.
But I think two things. One, I think town council fully realizes that you guys are doing what you've been tasked to do. Well, at least in my eyes, I completely agree with you that you guys are doing what you're tasked to do, and this is a document you're using to do it. And it's been adopted by town council and amended, and they know that these are the guidelines. They don't know what's in these guidelines, I don't think.
That's true.
That's the problem.
But they also do not
Some
respect
do.
it when we tell them what's in there.
But
If
here's-
they don't read it, if that's a problem, but we tell them
Yeah.
what's in it, and if they don't respect it, that's what's in there.
But I think you as a board are telling them what's in it accurately as opposed to maybe what has happened in the past. And now they're realizing, oh wait, like what we thought was in these guidelines.
Have they realized?
So why don't they have this vote of confidence for us to update it? Some of the board members, some of the council members, I agree, are a little more versed than others. One I know does quite a bit of research. One I know indicates knowledge of a process from 20 years ago. One of the things that we do is every day we are researching, based on what DHR recommends, other towns in Virginia that are similar to Cape Charles. So we have these, I mean, you have 5 of us doing 2-3 hours of work a day on it. I mean, that's a job.
In addition to the time it takes to prepare for the appeals, at which no one listens.
So we're,
I mean, I think at the next appeal, we should just stand up and say, do whatever you want to do. It's good with us.
we're doing the education, we're doing the research, we're doing the legwork.
The education.
We're charged to
Us.
execute this. No, we're doing the legwork. What we thought we were doing was to do what we were asked to do, update these guidelines so that they meet today's needs. But now we're being told we can do all this work and this can go to town council and a council of people who don't have this knowledge and who do not have done the research and have not gone through the training will yay or nay it based on either personal bias or votes.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes,
As you're going
please.
through it, rather request to have a joint work session with them to review that. That's what they've done with the planning commission for the comp plan. Because I know the last round of comp plan, it was back and forth to council. And trust me, we do have council members that will read it word for word and make notes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they want what's best for the town. Okay, not just for the voters or anything like that. But I do recommend that you go through the process and, ask them to have a joint work session to review. Have them look at it first, give them a chance to read it, and then have a work session to answer questions and have an open dialogue back and forth. It works for the
That's a
town.
good suggestion.
If
And we
we-
did have one joint work session.
That's what I want to say
Yeah.
too. If we call the work session, can we run the work session as opposed to the council running the work session?
Typically, when we've had joint work sessions in the past, like with the planning commission, both parties, the town mayor will call the town council to order, the chair of the board calls the board to order, and then it becomes an open discussion. But it is one shared agenda, and it'll probably be town council first on the agenda. But, I mean, during the open discussion, that's what it is. It's supposed to be open for both boards.
Well, how can we, at the last work session we had with the council, we thought we were going in to talk about, what is your view of the historic guidelines and what do you want to see the town do and blah, and all that. But instead, we had a specific outline of what at least one member of the council wanted to talk about. And I don't think what we accomplished much of that work session. I would prefer to really go in and say, this is what we see as our job. here are some places that are a problem, and these are the suggestions we would make. How do you feel about those kinds of suggestions? Does that answer the problems that you've been having?
Well, if you remember, the day after we had the joint work session, we had our own work session.
Yes, we did.
And we came up with the 5 or 6 things that we wanted to address right away,
Yeah.
so that we wouldn't keep getting in this appeal situation. So, if we request, we were looking towards September 6th for our next work session. If we could come to our next work session with that finished, those text amendments to those things we talked about, and we can approve them, can we then submit that as agenda for a special joint work session with the town council the following week between the 9th and the 13th? So they will have this. I'll have to check with the mayor on that, because right now he's been pretty adamant that he only wants to have 2 meetings a month. We've tried scheduling other ones and it's like, no. So right now, the special meeting work session date is the first Thursday of the month. And the regular meetings are the 3rd Thursday. So their special meeting is the 5th. Yeah, but the September 5th is, the agenda's already done. Okay. Yeah, so we can't add anything to that. Well, your meeting is the 6th anyway.
Yeah. But you said you thought the 18th or 19th was.
The 3rd is the regular meeting. You don't want to do a joint work session during the regular meeting.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a sense of what.
They meet twice a month, the 1st Thursday and the 3rd Thursday.
Okay, well, so at that meeting, it's just going to be something for them to think about. It's informational, right, at the 18th or 19th. So they wouldn't really vote on it till October, the 3rd,
If then.
if then. So that would give us time to work on it and
If we were
present some things to them, maybe so that they would defer it if we needed more time, or at least vote on something more that we want.
If we were to meet on the 6th,
Yeah.
we have voted on a finished list of text amendments. We can then send that in writing to you, and you can send that to council and to review.
And we can actually even send it to them outside of the meeting agenda. It can be sent to them that this is, what the historic, district review board has worked on, and they want, it's for your review to schedule an upcoming joint work session. That gives them time to, read it and make any notations.
And I would also encourage you to even if the proposed text amendments don't go through in October, November, whatever, to really explain where you're getting this information from that you're proposing, why, really explain the why, even though it's very, trust me, I have to do it for planning commission, for any zoning ordinance update or anything, just be very clear, we looked at 10
This town,
documents,
this town,
and
this
out
town.
of those 10, we identified these 3 that had this similarity with Cape Charles, something like that. Just, it's tedious, but it's gonna speak wonders for them
So
to
cite our
understand where you're
research
coming from.
sources.
And it's not just personal opinion or anything like that, it's,
It's a way of establishing our use of existing precedents.
yeah, you're
As
not
a basis
reinventing
for our-
anything.
as a basis for our research.
Yeah, exactly.
And findings, so.
Yeah.
And it goes to trying to be consistent with other towns that are DHR certified CMGs.
And, related to our focus on new houses on the vacant lots, the typical guidelines also include in that category additions to existing houses, because that's new construction,
Right.
as well as accessory buildings and my first go around, I was focusing on the houses only from those various other, guidelines, but didn't have time, because they all included information on additions and accessory buildings too, but I wasn't able to formulate that. What I'm getting at is, I think we need to be certain that we have sort of covered all of a particular basic category in the piecemeal with the information, and that may not be.
But I think didn't we agree at the work session just to do new construction and fill?
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to tackle it, is new construction and fill, and then maybe addition, I don't know, just let it all
But some of
decide.
that, so you can flow over to the historic stuff too.
Yeah.
Well, that being the case, so on September 6th, if we're speaking only new construction, are there various portions of it that each of us should be prepared to speak about at our work session?
And I think we started doing that, we started itemizing what we were looking into. I mean, Ed kind of looked up a lot of things, and then we made suggestions of what we'd like to see changed.
So I guess just make those changes and then bring it at this upcoming work session. And then if more changes are needed and y'all can't do them there, but if you can do them there and y'all decide, hey, this looks really good, maybe we'll mull over it for a little bit until our regular meeting or something, I don't know, but. I mean, just, I want you guys to get it done, you know, because I mean, I know the
But
research
we want to
on it
get
is
it
super
done
critical.
too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah.
point. We feel like.
It's not the research right now that's stopping it. Let's just be clear about that. It's the fact that we don't want to waste our time if we don't know where the board is going on all this. But we really have spent an inordinate amount of time on this. And
There has been a stall in the
yes.
commitment of human resources to this project since the
Yes.
appeals. That can't be denied.
And not just the fact that they were appealed. I think we all expected a number of them to be appealed. But I would prefer that we be treated with the respect we are due by the town council when we present our appeals.
The recommendations for appeal process in other towns talk about as long as you're consistent in your decision making and you're using the same basis for decisions, that your city council or your town council should not be appealing your decision unless there was an abusive process followed.
Right.
But what we're seeing with the different constituencies is town council takes a liking to a particular applicant or has a personal bias about a particular building methodology, and that impacts their decision. They're not looking to, did we follow the procedure properly? So we have a bit of a loss of confidence in the appeal process. Nevertheless, I think we're saying here we're committed to try to get these things done in a good faith effort to show that we are moving forward. And perhaps then the town council will not feel that they have to have so much control over the text change.
Yeah. I also think that, like you were talking, or we talked about pre-application meetings, like these two were the first two pre-application meetings that we've had applicants.
Yeah, they went very well.
Yeah, and then they both got approved, and
I
then
don't know
we're
about
very,
the two that I went to.
well, one of them is very tough. but
She starts crying.
It's just, I mean, I'm sitting in there with you, and you're saying the things that are supposed to be said, you know, there's nothing, it's just, and it will help her if she was just in front of the board, you know, apply with what she applied with, and then came to the board, it would be a lot
Right.
harder, I think. She would have really done a lot more probably than just the pre-application meeting days.
I do want to thank you all for taking pre-application meetings and sharing your
We
own.
did two today.
Thank you. And I wanted to thank everybody for the work they have done behind the scenes, looking up and citing other towns and drafting ideas for appeal process, for rewriting the guidelines. I mean, I wanted to go on record to say that in the checklist and so
Well,
on.
since we're chatting, 428 Plum Street was a real problem application for me. To start with, the way they showed the diagonals, I thought the siding was on a diagonal. It took me quite a while to look through that and find out that wasn't the case. The fact that there's going to be more, I don't even know what to call it, but more decorative stuff on it, it's not on there, but that would have helped me too to make a decision. So I felt totally unable to make a decision on that until we had this long discussion. I don't know, I think.
Well, so this was a pre-application application meeting, and I think one of the things that's improved between the time the applicant came to Zach's office for the pre-app meeting and today was he brought us a piece of graph paper with a pencil drawing on it.
Yeah.
And we advised him that it would be hard to get that any approval through the HDRB. They would have specific questions, and if you could bring detailed drawings, so on and so forth. It's an outbuilding, it's an accessory building, it's not a house. They're not engaging an architect, it's a contractor who had absolutely no experience with using any online drafting tools. That came out in the pre-app meeting. So I think, we made good progress. Like I said, I wasn't sure if we should approve an application with 7 conditions, but if our
Right.
planner now he has the insight from both the pre-app meeting and this meeting and our detailed conditions. So, but I do see how the other members of the board who weren't present in the pre-app meeting.
Yeah. Well,
So I don't know, maybe that's something in the process we can fix. Maybe after the pre-app meeting, the planner is allowed to send a memo to everybody on the board about what happened at the pre-app meeting. I don't know, we can discuss that in our, I don't want to increase your workload. I can't do it because that's not appropriate.
It's not workload, it's just the legalities of it. I don't want discussions to happen outside of it, and the pre-app meeting happened, so, you guys, I don't know, you could ask questions, I don't know, yeah, we just have to discuss it.
I mean, if this were a house, I would agree with you that those plans would not have been sufficient.
But I know, and that was one of the reasons why I wasn't going to get so upset over this, except for the fact that this is so obvious from the street. This is going to look like a house. So I wanted to make sure that it at least looked
It's gonna look like a
nice.
garage.
And I could
Maybe
see
it's
this
garage.
overhang having railing on it and looking like a porch from that one side, just so as you go by it, it looks more housey as opposed to shed. Because it really, that street is looking much better. And we don't want this to be an eyesore. And it does face the street, and that does give us purview.
That might have been a suggestion you made here.
Well, I could, you're right, but I feel a little out of my element on some of these things.
Okay.
And when this doesn't show anything, but you all say, oh yeah, it's there, it's gonna be okay, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna defer to you guys.
yeah, well, Diane, the drawings that were submitted are really not accurately indicating what a finished condition would look like for a building of this sort. Now, it's easy for Ed and me to see what it would be because, focus on things like that. But, yeah, that to me was pretty poor information that was submitted. But feel like the contractor at least seemed to recognize the conditions that we were talking about. And perhaps the end result will reflect the combination of these facing drawings and those conditions.
Right. There was a very open-minded collaboration going on between us, the contractor, and the homeowner. And that's what we want. We want
Absolutely.
everybody to feel okay with the decision when it's made.
I
And that
agree.
But you are correct, in some ways, to me, it's a little unfortunate to have a massive garage door on an accessory building facing a primary avenue, but that's the
Wouldn't it have been better to
circumstance
have
of the
two garages?
He's only got 20 feet from corner to corner, and that's already.
garage door.
site. It's a small building, actually.
Yeah.
A typical two-car garage is at least 24 by 24.
Right.
So
So no, it's not a
these
big
buildings are
accommodation for
smaller
two cars.
size, the structure perhaps has less impact visually.
But I would like to say that observation of yours, you should trust those observations, because some of the people on this board look at it from an engineering perspective. Some of it are looking at it from detailed construction perspectives. And we're all also here to look at it from a design perspective. So we should talk about those things before we
But you really are basically correctly concerned about the visual result, because that's what pretty much we're all about here.
Exactly.
What's it going to look like in this district?
Okay, so, also under other business, I just wanted to report that on August 9th, the Historic District Review Board and the Planners Act Cons and our clerk Tracy Outen, we attended the Department of Historic Resources training session in Smithfield on certified local governments. We became further educated on topics including mid-century properties that are now within the scope of our review. We reviewed qualifying and identifying landmarks that might be outside our overlay. And we learned a lot about retention and repair of historic windows and siding. And NAPC, the National Association for Preservation Commission, Section 106, among other things. The other thing I wanted to just mention on the record.
Just so quickly related to that, since I was not able to attend, did you each receive a packet of information from someone?
You know, we asked them to send us PowerPoints. Have you got them?
That's right, we did.
Would you mind following up on that?
We have at least like to be able to see
Yes.
some material that resulted from that.
Thank you, Zach. So at the beginning of the meeting, Madam Clerk read into the record a letter from Gary Ulmer. On August 16th, I met in Zach's office with Gary Ulmer because Zach asked if I would meet with Gary Ulmer in his office. And I made the assumption that he was a homeowner that wanted to talk about his windows. But a few days later, I figured out who he was because I was researching replacement windows for my own historic house. And I filled in an online form to find your local dealer, and Gary calls me. And we figured out who he was. So I just wanted to say that I felt uncomfortable meeting with a vendor in your office alone. Although I do think it's important to get manufacturers and suppliers, you know, newest materials and their concerns and how they recommend to homeowners here. I think we should do that either during work sessions or organize a little trade show where the public can come in and builders can come in and that sort of thing.
Full board.
Yeah. But I did want to say that I was a little confused by
Well,
I felt in the end when he sent a letter to the Planning Commission and tonight
And to the town council.
that his agenda is to get this board to say one of his products will be approved. And we made it clear to him in no uncertain terms that while we might recommend to homeowners on a case-by-case basis, if it would be appropriate to use a composite material or appropriate to use a vinyl window, in no way could we say that this product can be used on a hand all the time.
So am I to assume that he was trying to sell windows to that particular homeowner?
He said that he's had several homeowners contact him about replacing their windows, and everybody wants the cheapest vinyl window that he has. And he brought a sample of it. It's a cellular PVC, it's hollow inside, it's shiny white plastic. He also brought a sample of a wood composite material that was more along the lines of a dimensional building product that we might consider on a case-by-case basis, depending on where
I thought
we had it.
I thought they had to be an applicant or a homeowner or contractor, not a salesperson.
Exactly, so that's, yeah.
I just want to, I mean, and it's on public record in my emails, I made it clear that it was not.
He did,
an
yes, you
applicant.
did. Right.
So I didn't want to, you weren't dragged into something that you didn't.
No, I was not dragged into something, and I knew going
Oh.
into it who he was. I just
Yeah.
wanted to say that I felt that
Yeah.
once I got there, that he had misled you and I, because he didn't really want to know what the guidelines were. He wanted to know which of these two products can I sell people who live in Cape Charles? And we could not answer that for him. So that's all I wanted to say.
I would agree that someone like that should meet with the whole board. I would suggest that they meet with us at one of our meetings that we have already planned at, as opposed to an extra meeting or a hurried meeting.
Right,
call.
and it's the first time it happens, so.
Right, right.
You know, again, it's all a learning process. I think we learned our lesson on that one.
And the fact that he went to town council and read it and then,
So he submitted it before we met with him, that email.
but that was an ad. How did he get an ad read at the town council meeting?
We asked it, I don't think it's an ad, it's a concern.
He gets 3
Yeah, because I know when he called me first to know who to talk to, and that's when I forwarded his voicemail to Zach and Jeb, because like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he's received a lot of phone calls from residents in town, you know, asking about windows and everything, and he just wanted to make sure, knowing that we were a historic district, that he can offer something that they were permitted to put on. That was how he approached it to begin with.
Yeah. Well,
Well, that's a reasonable approach, but it certainly didn't sound that way.
But that's not
I
what
had
happened
a
when he
letter
got
to
there.
town
And
council.
that was before even the email came in, so.
Because we asked him, right, even when he was there, like, do you rep any other companies besides Interstate with these 2 products? Because the guidelines really say wood windows. Do you have a wood window bidder? And he said
Well,
no.
that was the situation, was I kept telling him, you're more than likely not gonna be able to replace wood windows with vinyl.
You did.
In good repair, and I kept telling him that, he called many times, and he was just asking, can I speak to one of the boards, just to get one of the board members to get an understanding of why that is.
Quite the salesman, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he has a reason behind why he was trying to meet with us, of course, but like, I think that in that meeting, we made it very clear to him, just like you had mentioned, just previously, that case-by-case basis, we typically don't allow wood windows to be replaced with vinyl. You know, new construction is different. We just gave him opportunities to learn from us, and I don't know if he took those opportunities or he just took it as a denial, essentially, as to what is. But that's on him, that's not on us.
He has to
We
think
take
about it, but I was just wanting to share that.
So would you say in the future, then let's say somebody calls with the same, you know, I represent a door company or whatever, would you suggest they get us their specs, that we might look them over, and then if we want to call them in as a board and talk to them, would that be a reasonable way to go?
I can say that,
There are just so many new products out there.
You're right.
I think that if we want to learn about products without getting a marketing pitch, we have to do that homework ourselves. Like, since we've been aboard, some of us have gone online and read about building products and asked to get samples or manufacturer's specs. And I know I've been called by the area rep to say, do you want me to come? I said, no, I don't actually. Because part of the challenge that we have, even with homeowners, is overcoming the sales pitch they've been given by a vinyl siding provider or a window provider. Like we learned at the CLG meeting last week, the guy on windows had all this data that only 10% of energy is lost through windows. 90% of it is lost through the roof and the siding. So when somebody comes and says, I have to have vinyl windows because they're so energy efficient, way more, it's not actually true, but they're only repeating what they read in marketing literature or were told by a salesperson. So we have to use our professional analysis to evaluate materials, I think.
That's kind of where those pre-application meetings come into, if we had one about windows, he
Yeah.
presented, and he was like, I really don't know much about wood windows, you know, and his wife was like, well, we can change them out wood for wood, I just don't like the lead paint, you know, and just all that.
Right.
And it was just knowledge
It
that
was
he
so
wanted to
helpful.
gain, and, yeah, so I think it was really good.
Yeah,
in that regard.
that was very helpful.
Would it work once we kind of establish 4 or 5 different cities or towns that we think are us, like us, that each one of us establish a contact in that town. So let's say the subject comes up about vinyl windows or whatever he's offering, that we could each call our contact and say, what are you doing about this situation?
I think it'll be in your guidelines, you know.
In their guidelines, I don't know. Maybe not.
I think perhaps one challenge for us, using those various guidelines, documents that we received already online, you know, are all from larger cities who have spent a lot of money having consultants, you know, develop both the technical and general information for their guidelines because they can afford to do that. I noticed the one example of New Bern, North Carolina. When I looked at their new construction section, it had even less information in it than ours did. And they're somewhat more of a community, maybe size or similar, you know, to ours. So it may be difficult to find directly relevant communities with established historic districts or some kind of a track record that is comparable to what we're working with here. And so, again, I think it probably comes down to we're just going to have to see if we can find a way to reconcile a lot of these questions related to trying to improve what we use as our reference. So it does take, however, a lot of time and effort. But, you know, I do like Libby's idea of the possibility of our actually initiating future work sessions with council when we feel we have reached a point where we have a sufficient amount of information that we're comfortable with to share with them. Because these kind of documents are comprehensive. They cover a lot of territory. And so you have to anticipate sort of methodically, if you can, sort of selecting certain sections that you'll start to do and work your way through it over time. But possibly initiating work sessions from our direction with council when we have a particular package of information that we feel is good, that may help us begin to gauge better what kind of cooperation or lack of it we may have from that group. Because that's somewhat of an unknown at this point.
So it sounds like what we were saying earlier, if we start with a small thing, the new construction infill, new construction and
And
additions.
use it as a test case.
And let's get it all tight and agreed on.
And what are we doing with the appeal process that we were? Would we want to give them that at the same time? Since it's pretty much done.
It is pretty much done. We can make it a goal.
I mean, we can put it in our September 6th meeting and go over it, see what everyone thinks.
Okay. If anybody else thinks of anything else they want to put on our agenda for our work session besides the new construction and additions, changes in the appeal process, let's have it.
Are you planning on sending out an agenda?
Yeah, there'll be a system.
Okay, but like a little more specific, like this is what we're going to tackle in this order?
You gotta tell me what you want.
We
to
tell
tackle.
them.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if we're going to say, let's talk about new construction.
No, just remember, we're going to have a finite amount of time to.
We are, and that's what I'm saying. Here's how we should address it. We want to talk about new construction, we're talking about these as categories like this.
I would say for this, let Susan, individually let Susan know what you would like to see and some items, and then Susan can kind of, that's what she did for the last one. She really just kind of told me, hey, this is kind of what I want to see, and then I put it into a staff report accordingly.
Right, and then it is appropriate for me to try and assign to different people what I think their most expertise is in.
like I can write to Kerry and ask him about certain materials, or I can write to Ed, but I just can't write to everybody.
Yeah, it can't be well, it can't be a discussion.
No,
No, you can't have.
I can
meetings
send
by
an
email.
information, I need you to research
You
this,
can all meet by
to bring it
accident.
to the meeting. That's all.
Yeah, you're delegating.
Well, you could
Just
actually send
delegated
one
tasks.
email. You can send one email to everybody so everybody knows what each other's
But they
doing.
can't reply.
That's right. They can't reply and have like
Right.
discussion.
Yeah.
But you can just say, you know, in preparation for this, this is what I'd like you to do.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Or if Susan needs to, she can have an email communication, say one of us at least.
Yeah.
Maybe.
One-on-one.
Maybe no more
Right,
than
well,
one.
like Diane was working on appeal processes,
Yeah.
so we were allowed to confer about that. We were
Phone
working
is
on-
better, but you can do email
No, I-
one-on-one.
Okay. Okay, before we wrap up, I just wanted to say that while we focused on the appeals that we lost, I did want to recognize town council for upholding our decision on 235, 239 Mason Avenue to not paint the mural on the front. So, small wins.
Very small.
And then Carrie's not here, but there is an appeal for 12 Peach Street.
Saw that.
And I'm gonna step aside from that one because that's the building that's adjacent to mine on Peach Street. And I've had conversations with her about what she wants to do with her building, and it would just not be appropriate for me, I think, to be adjudicating anything more to do with 12 Peach Street. Carrie has agreed to prepare the remarks for Zach on 12 Peach Street. And as I understand it, it wouldn't be inappropriate for another member. Two people can work on that appeal, right? And I think the two people that brought up the most concerns, which was you and Carrie, would be the appropriate people to.
I don't understand why she's appealing even the tile on the floor. We never really told them one way or the other, we just said.
We did.
Yeah.
We did?
It was a conditional approval. The two conditions were no tile floor, and we needed detailed specs.
Profile.
on the
I remember the
extruded
profile on the
or-
metal
Yeah.
window frame.
But we did also rule on retaining the existing
Yes.
garage door slab.
And that was, I thought if they decided to have the doors closed, those two doors, that they weren't even,
Right, but she said they were not going to close them. That was the
They
problem.
seem to be adamant that they wanted the doors to remain open. I guess they're going to permanently attach them or something to the wall.
but when we asked what kind of style or what pattern on the floor, she didn't have one to begin with.
That's
So
right.
how can she appeal something if she didn't have the proper presentation?
We specifically said that it was denied. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we said that
He said-
any tile floor is denied
Yeah.
because the doors are going to be open and that makes it a part of the exterior. If the doors were shut, that would be the interior.
Personally, on that, I felt like we shouldn't have even waded into the waters on that floor. Because we're gonna say every commercial building that keeps its door open, and we can see the inside of their floor that we have purview on, I think that's a sticky wicket we don't wanna get into.
This was a little different though.
Yeah,
It's
she-
obvious
she
they were
said
never
doors.
going to close those doors.
You can't say that.
Yeah, no,
It's
you
a
can't.
commercial building. She's going to have tenants and lessees, and they may decide to put their bicycles in there and close the doors.
They may, but that was not the way she presented it, and that's not the way it's been. So,
My opinion was we shouldn't have ruled out at all, and I'm sorry we
yeah,
did. And I do wish there was something in our process that would give us an opportunity. This is why, another good example why with a commercial property with a very big application, we shouldn't be trying to decide in one evening. I really think it should have a two-step process. When we had the other commercial building, the Parsons building, we took time with him, we deferred it, we got more information, eventually it had to be denied, and a new application came forth that was really
Well,
good.
I think
That we
this
could approve.
two-step process may eliminate some of that also.
Right, right. Having the pre-application meeting might
Yeah, that should help.
Could
have
I-
helped.
could
I
I
think
add?
though, for the Parsons building, the applicant stuck with us, if you will, through that process.
Correct.
This particular applicant has decided to go the appeal direction instead of returning
Well,
to us.
I don't know that in the process, the only thing she could do was send in a modification.
For
Instead
which
of
we
appealing.
need a definition. That should be on September 6th.
I
We
agree.
need a definition for
Modification.
modification.
Which will be a zoning ordinance update, which will have to go through planning commission.
That's fine, but we just need one.
Yeah,
It's
I
pretty
agree.
obvious that they think any change is a modification, any change at all. So it's kind of hard then to talk to them about,
Okay.
yeah.
Any other business for our business?
I just want to say, didn't mean that no town council member knows about this, what I said previously.
Okay, retracted that.
They know, it's just, they're not as clear as you guys are. They're not the professionals for
And to
Well,
be
there's
fair,
no
they're
reason
not,
to-
I don't think their experience is with this many people on a board. There have been board members in the past that have been very fluent in this, but I don't think they've had continuity, consistency with all the board members and all boards in the past, so I can understand why they would.
I think the town council members should go to school when we go to school. At least
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they're opposed to it, it just hasn't been that process in the past.
I think,
Now
now
we're
they
gonna-
might even welcome it.
Yeah, we'll extend it to, for sure.
Okay, and announcements, our next work session is September 6th.
What time?
1 to 3.
1 to 3 is what we said.
What time?
September 6th, 1 to 3.
So I believe, and Libby, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the first Fridays reserved, or first Fridays from 1 to 3 reserved for you guys to set
Right.
a work session. That's why when you said August 30th, I was like, I don't think there's an
Well,
August 30th.
because I got a note from you that said you wanted to publish the agenda for it.
Well, we want to publish the agenda for the appeal,
Oh, for the appeal.
which is September 5th. Yeah,
Okay.
that was that.
Gotcha. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn? Oh, wait, I just wanted to say thank you, Libby, for setting the thing.
Yes, thank you. I didn't even notice that.
And
See,
typing
like
away
the
my words
notice.
so much like Tracy.
You do, yes. Same age, everything.
No, but also, if we're putting up with all this discourse and getting it all down there so quickly, I can hear you tapping along over there. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second, sure.
Thank you, Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.